a pleasure to work with these remarkable people. You know, they really put on one hell of a show. They do. I'm merely a conduit for their talents. And but before we bring the doctor up, we have an opportunity to bring somebody up here on stage that is going to blow your minds in an obvious fashion, so that means probably won't blow it all that much at all.
Whoa!
Kara, you ready with that? Sure. I would hope that you are. But this is the kind of thing that really, I'm expecting, you know what, what's the opposite of filling an auditorium with like lots of screaming fans? What's the opposite of that?
Fire drill.
Quite possibly, we might have a fire drill during the next portion of the program. It's very possible.
Or a fire sale.
It's very possible. Good, Hal, you ready? Hal's ready over there for his part. Rob, you ready? Yeah. Folks, we're going to be bringing up to the stage right now a man who needs no obvious introduction. The things that he does are remarkable and quite obvious, but if you didn't know about them, you'd probably be better off. Our own space science reporter himself, the inimitable Pete, call me obvious, Goldie.
Science report.
Hi, Pete. Hi, John Hell.
There's a little switch on there. It's not even a knob, but it's so small you can hardly see. But it's
The damn side, Pete. It's obvious, Pete. It's obvious.
I have trouble finding it too. What do you
It's on the top, Pete.
Is this science?
It's on the side there.
Ah, there we have that technical issue resolved.
It's science, Pete. It's science.
It's Monument Valley.
Oh, we have a festival seating tonight, I see.
Yay! We got here early.
Well, there was a trampling like that Who concert in Cincy in '79.
Yeah.
Took place earlier. This is all that would actually lived through that.
That's where
I
Keith.
slept on the sidewalk last night.
That's where Keith Moon died in that one, right?
No, he just passed out, and that was at the Cow Palace. And
Yeah.
the drummer from the audience came up and
So pass
some
out.
guy just played.
Spy will do the science.
So if you pass out, Pete, I have a feeling somebody from the audience might be able to do your part.
Do you have a telephone book I can raise this on somewhere? Otherwise, we'd be doing the whole thing like this, and Hal would be even more uncomfortable. Telephone book. I'm sorry. A book. No, I'm sorry.
What's that?
Let me try. There we go.
telephone.
A box.
It ain't a telephone book. I don't know what
Hal, what are you
It's a
doing
box
here?
of donuts.
Hal provides.
He's gonna sit on a box of donuts.
Box of wires. Now I'm comfy. Everything's nice. I can hug my box. Have you hugged your box lately? Hey, look at this opening shot here.
Monument
Yeah,
Valley.
look at that.
Monument Valley, Four Corners.
Yay!
Beautiful part of our country,
Yeah.
Navajo country.
Yeah.
In fact, this entire area here, these things, which are called the Mittens, some of these people in this audience have been there. That's the left mitten, that's the right mitten. They're buttes, aren't they?
They're
They're
Navajo. I didn't even know her name.
They're not mounds.
Not only that, above that we see the starry sky.
Looks just
Not
like
exactly totally starry, because this in fact is Mars coming by, but here, being wintertime, you would recognize Orion the Hunter.
Gloomy Orion.
Well, that's obvious.
Orion the Hunter, and all of these various things that you know very well. That giant red giant, which is a giant star there, Betelguese, everyone knows that. Bellatrix, there, Rigel down there.
Betelgeuse.
You know all that. This one down here, if you know right off Orion's belt here, you have these three stars. That's called Saif, which is the Arabic word for sword. It's the sword that hangs from the belt of Orion. Him being the hunter who went out slay animals and did he rescue Diana? Is that right, Hal? Disembodied voice of Hal Robbins.
Yes, that's right. Once again, more information than anyone can handle.
Everybody knows Orion's belt has those three stars right in a row. So easy. Perhaps the easiest thing to pick out there in the firmament. But does everyone know their names? Their names are Alatak, Alalam, and Mintaka.
Easy for you to say.
In order,
by
right there.
Arabs.
Bam, bam, bam. That's right. As were most stars in the sky. Named by our Mohammedan friends out there. And they did this for a reason. They had no trees and lots of desert sky. Very clear. And they, in fact, were first to turn their heads up nighttime and say, well, we're not that drunk. Let's name all these stars. And the name took because they actually, made star maps and everything else. Mars, of course, not a star, but the brightest thing you see in this image. But this is just a picture that you would see, anyone would see if they went outside and looked in the wintertime and it wasn't cloudy. It was just another typical San Francisco winter, like we've been having.
75 degrees.
That's right. It's just like, it's all going to be this way forever now.
No, you can't see any stars in San Francisco anyway.
Silly Hal.
I don't know. Hal, you're in the room.
Weather.
Let's go to image number 2, Sherilyn. Sherilyn is handling information technology, and there's just lots of information here tonight.
Quick
There.
image number 20. Sharon, 20.
It's number 2 here. A very, very good guess, though. And this, of course,
Jiffy
is the
Pop.
Chinese lander and rover that is on the moon right at this moment. Now, there was some excitement and perhaps disappointment because it turned out the rover, which is called U2, which it translates to Jade Rabbit, that popular marital aid, is having some trouble. And what happens is, on the moon, it has 2 weeks of daylight where it's burning hot, and 2 weeks of nighttime where it gets freezing cold. The only way that they could keep all the delicate electronics inside here from freezing, cracking, and falling apart was at night to fold over the solar panels on top, and inside it has enough electronic warmth and a few bits of decaying radioisotopes to keep it warm. Well, after this worked fine during the first lunar night that happened a month ago in December, and then it went to happen the second time, and it couldn't get the panels folded over, did not receive the commands, and they pretty much said, "Goodbye, dear Jade Rabbit, we're so sorry." And then time
Ladies, don't you hate when that happens to you and your Jade Rabbit?
doesn't work anymore, So they all wrote it off. Sun came up again on the moon, and they didn't get anything and were pretty upset about it, and wrote a bunch of eulogies. But then ham radio operators picked up the signal before the Chinese Space Agency. Yeah, I know. So they started picking it up. And again, we get one of these cryptic messages from the Chinese news services, and it says now is, situation is getting better. Then the rabbit is expecting to retransmission of audio. A small rabbit rescue mission, Chang'e 3 core staff just croaked. Excited tone told reporters, little rabbit situation is getting better, a little longer wake-up signs. Wait, this, the 25th month since the rabbit in the Moonlit Reporter first heard positive news. Bunny, come on. Chefs, you have worked hard. You, Kaijie. And this is the translation. Actually, they don't even provide any English translations from the Chinese news service of
Through Google Translate?
Some of these are Google Translate. They're actually crowdsourcing this. They have there are enough Chinese language speakers in America, believe it or not, that they crowdsource the translations on this. Anyway, what else is going on the moon? People are saying, oh, those Chinese, they make a bunch of crap and it comes over on Costco container ships and all that. No wonder it broke. This is an amazing mission. They really got a lot done on it. They soft landed on the moon, first time they tried. They drove a rover off. Hasn't been a rover running on the moon in 35 years. And it worked for a couple of weeks. It didn't get any farther than you see here. But hey, it got that far. And let's think back of what was going on with our missions 50 years ago.
Okay.
Next image, please, Sherilyn. This is the Lunar Ranger missions. And when Lunar Ranger missions started out in 1962, they fired 7 of these up in a row.
That's not just a whistle.
The first 6 were complete failures. Failure to launch, blow up at launch, miss the moon, everything falls apart in space, never hear from it again. They get the 7th one, which happens to be this one, or the 6th one, Ranger number 6, and it actually, it got up, but when it got into space, when it separated from the booster rocket, they didn't realize that the separation from the booster rocket and the burning off of the excess gas, they did not cover all the electrical contacts when they built rocket ships back then. And even though they were thinking, it's a vacuum in space, there won't be any electrical problem, the propellant got into the spacecraft as they dropped the booster, it shorted out, the TV cameras shorted out. So then it flew perfectly on track to the moon. Next image, please, Sherilyn. Impacted on the moon and made this crater. Yes, and actually that was a successful mission because it's the first time they actually hit the moon.
We're on the moon.
50 years ago. And then, so they considered, it took seven of the Rangers before they actually got one to send back some television pictures. And they were pretty low res, black and white, and there were a lot of complaining from all the Comcast customers. But anyway, let's go on to the next image while we're talking about the moon. What are we doing these days on the moon? Well, now we have orbiters there checking out things. We have the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, and a mission that started just a couple of months called Laddie, which is looking for some faint atmosphere that is suspected to be on the moon. Well, what you see here, of course, is the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter has discovered a giant yellow circle on the surface of the moon, right here.
Whoa.
And that coincidentally is actually pointing out a tiny little streak you see in there. Next image, please, Sherilyn.
It's your daughter.
Here is that tiny little streak on the moon. Now, if this was a UFO site, website image, they would be saying, yes, proof positive, there are aliens on the moon. This was deliberately taken of the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, taking a picture of the Laddie mission orbiter below it as it passed rapidly below it, 9 kilometers below it. The timing is exquisite on here. It's only 4 pixels wide and moving rather fast. But that's a pretty good trick, that we can actually have one orbiter take a picture of another orbiter as their orbits happen to cross. Well done. Not as cool as a rover on the moon, but hey, we're still doing a few things in space here.
Didn't the Israelis land something on the moon also?
That's insane. No, they have not.
I thought they landed a washing machine-sized object on the moon.
Is that right, Al?
It was actually a washing machine.
I'm just going to ask you, but
It was a washing
It
machine?
was actually a washing machine.
They put the first Israeli kosher washing machine on the moon.
Coin operated.
God, I gotta go home and get quarters.
you heard it right here, folks.
Yes, and then they're going to send something to collect the coins in a few more months. There. Very well done. That's news to me, Hal, but I will be on the internet immediately after the show to look that up. I'm sure that's a fascinating thing. But the last thing that I want to talk about on the moon right now will be the next image. Everybody talks about supermoon. How about micromoon? The micromoon was the full moon on Wednesday night.
What'd you call me?
There's supermoon on the outside. There's micromoon in the inside. 11% difference in the area you would see from Earth when the moon is slightly closer in its orbit than when it's slightly farther away during a full moon.
Why is it shrinking?
You'd never see this at the same time, so I don't know what this image means. This is complete chaos right here.
Vogue magazine likes the smaller one.
Yeah, I think Cosmo likes this.
Ladies, right? No, I'm talking about right. Yeah, right.
Yeah. They do. Anyway, that's so all you people that got excited over supermoon. Oh, the tides are going to be tremendous and all that. It's really not. It's 11% difference. That's all. That's all, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I think I just say gentlemen, right? You have ladies here?
Hey,
Yes,
come on.
Oh, ladies and
Come
ladies
on.
and gentlemen.
We have ladies here.
It's nice. I'm glad everyone's here. Right? Everyone's here.
Everyone's here.
Next image, please.
we're here for you, Pete.
On Mars.
Wow.
We have 2 operating rovers jumping right past the moon in the modern age here. And our latest rover, Curiosity, encountered this impenetrable sand dune. What was it going to do? And why was it trying to pass by this sand dune when it has this beautiful little rocky area it can drive by? Well, next image, let's see. Did it get past this sand dune? Indeed it did. Now, why is this a big deal? And why are they driving in the on the soft, dangerous sand where they can get stuck?
We're going to Saline Valley, man.
It does look like a trip to Saline Valley, except it actually even goes slower than in Saline Valley, if you've ever been there. Now, the reason this is exciting is the Curiosity rover, which is a fantastic nuclear-powered rover on the surface of Mars, has a lot of scientific instruments, has 16 cameras, and plutonium-powered ass that makes it go around.
Bet the North Koreans would love that shit.
It's developing a problem. And I want to show you why
It's gassy.
why it's driving over these. Next image here. Of course, this is one of the 6 wheels of the rover, and you can see they've numbered them in this image. 1, 2, and 20 up here. And has holes in it, and the holes spell out Morse code JPL. Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which developed the rover and got it to the moon. And the reason I'm showing you this is you see some scratches and nicks in it. Actually, there's some penetrations. Next image, please. These penetrations are getting to be quite a lot.
Wow.
This is a serious problem. Yes, it's only been on the moon for a year and a half at this point, or the moon, Mars, year and a half. And it turns out they did not expect that this SUV-sized rover powered by a nuclear power pack needed stronger wheels on Mars. But it turns out that the wind erosion of all the sharp little rocks are penetrating and wearing out those wheels very fast. Next image, I'll show you another wheel here. This, in fact, is quite a problem. They're very worried about it because they're afraid all those wheels will be worn down to nothing before mission ends. So they're now trying to drive on sand as often as they can, which generally they try to avoid with the Opportunity Rover. While we're at it, let's talk about the Opportunity Rover. Next image, please.
Why not?
Everyone remember finding this mysterious...
Whoa, it's a face.
The mysterious rock, the donuts, though they call it.
That's an
not
auto
in this
repair
image.
garage.
It's a McDonald's wrapper.
12 days later, it appears out of nowhere.
Washer.
How could it have fallen
What
out of
the-
the sky and dropped down there? Well, our brilliant scientists working in deep, dark, dank rooms have solved this mystery. Next image, please. They actually took a lot of pictures around. And this is a mosaic of before and after, and they actually found it in an earlier picture. The same rock, when it was doing a little pirouette up here, it hit the rock, it rolled down the hill from there to there, and that explains it. Solved.
Who put the arrows there?
It did not appear out of nowhere. It actually, they bumped it and it rolled down the hill.
Oh!
Yes, the arrows were put there by the Chinese. We outsourced that to them. And while we're at it, let's go to the very next image.
Whoa.
Yes,
It's a record.
Saturn. Saturn also has a great space mission going on, also powered by nuclear power, the radioactive decay of plutonium-238. And this orbiter is taking some beautiful pictures of the rings of Saturn. This is the outermost F ring here is splitting and coming apart. It turns out the F ring is highly dynamic, and there are small moons and other objects in there constantly interacting with it and pulling off strands of wispy little ice material and stretching it out. Well, they think that this is actually a fairly small single object that is continually crashing into the ring right now, causing a long split. With a higher resolution image, you would see that this is split off quite long here and is mysterious indeed, but it'll reform up as it does. Because while these little rocks that are orbiting around there, co-orbiting with the ring, cause these splits, they also cause it to bring itself back together again as they move back and forth. And some of them actually change to being inside and outside of the orbit of the F-ring to help braid it back into itself, keeping it more or less intact, maybe for another 10 million years or so. And then it'll all be wispy all away. Now, I've mentioned nuclear power packs several times. Nuclear power packs are powering the Curiosity rover on Mars, the Cassini mission in Saturn, the New Horizon mission on its way to Pluto. Did you know that that's not really a very efficient way of making electricity, but when you have no other choice, you would use plutonium-238.
Obviously.
Yes, the radioactive
Unlimited
decay of that.
supply of money.
And an unlimited supply of money, because in fact, plutonium-238, in fact, does cost more than plutonium-235, which you would make nuclear weapons out of. It's actually more expensive than making an atomic bomb to make this stuff. And anyone want to guess how much plutonium-238 the United States now has stockpiled here in this country?
$1.25.
30 pounds.
Sold the Brooklyn Bridge.
Total 30 pounds, and each one of these takes about 5-6 pounds to make every one of these radioisotope electric generators there.
Isn't that enough to wipe out all life on Earth?
No, it's not the plutonium that makes an atomic bomb.
Not your mother's plutonium.
No, you would not want to swallow a large quantity of it, a small quantity of it, any of it at all. And if you were able to disperse it all over the entire planet, in fact, NASA had to do a study inspired by a crackpot scientist to prove that if the Cassini orbiter were to burn up accidentally while being shot off to Saturn, how much of the plutonium would get into the bloodstreams of humans and other animals and cause fatal illnesses. They spent $65 million and studied it carefully and found out virtually no risk. Of course, they're egghead scientists. You can't believe them all the time, right? Next image, please. The reason I'm talking about these power packs is because it's very inefficient to just take a hot thing and a couple of thermocouples and make electricity. So why not actually take that hot thing and run a little motor, a Stirling motor, where you actually go back and forth with two little pistons to generate electricity. This thing would take 1/4 of the plutonium to generate the same 150 watts of power that you need running continuously for a few decades. So why not develop this Stirling motor and send that up instead of big, bulky plutonium-238 thermoelectric isotope heaters? And the reason that they can't do it is because it costs too much and it has moving parts. Well, they just canceled this program, I wanted to point out. So this whole way of...
Your part's about to be canceled soon. Just like that.
I'm sorry?
Your part's about to be canceled soon.
Okay, I'm budgeted through 2014.
This ain't plutonium.
There.
You didn't get the memo?
Okay.
I'm sorry.
All right. That's okay.
I'm just,
All right.
I'm trying to be
I
polite,
understand.
but
I know how that is. So they're not gonna-
burning off excess gas. I get it.
I know. Even if I was 75% more efficient,
It would help. It would
they're
help.
gonna cancel it.
I don't know.
Do you know what it was
Is that
costing to make this thing every year? They've been working on it for about 6 years. They've been spending $55 million a year trying to build this thing, and they pulled the plug on it. So we're gonna need a lot more.
Speaking of which,
We're going to need a lot more plutonium-238 if we want to get missions going out there. Because we only have 30 pounds of it, and we're not making any more. So they're going to restart a reactor, hopefully, start a reactor, build a reactor, spend a lot more money than that $55 million on this. They're going to spend billions of dollars to start some reactors, start making plutonium again, and they can make it at the rate of about 1 pound a year. So it'll take 5 years for every single thermoelectric generator that goes into space, if they don't use it on something else.
Plus the risk of it burning up on re-entry or something.
whoa, the fourth
They
wall, the fourth
spent-
wall, the fourth wall.
They spent $65 million proving that it wasn't going to hurt anyone.
There's no risk.
It's just going to be dispersed all around. There.
Be random.
Anyway, next image, I want to remind everyone that, of
There's
course,
your daughter.
this is called Thor's helmet. And as you know, the world is ending tomorrow because of, what's
Thor's
it called?
helmet.
Ragnarok.
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 Ragnarok, whatever. You know, this made-up apocalypse thing, it turns out that we had some Norwegian guests on the radio show a couple of weeks ago, and we asked them about the upcoming Viking apocalypse happening on the 22nd of February, and these real Vikings said, what, really? They hadn't even heard of it. It turns out this thing was created by a festival in England. A Viking festival. It's totally phony. There's not going to be a Viking apocalypse tomorrow.
What? Come on.
I'm sorry, but Thor's helmet would have been neat to have.
I was so ready for that and everything.
Yeah, it would have been great. You can see the horns and everything. And there were no horns, of course, in Vikings' helmets.
I've been like practicing up on my Shakespeare talk and everything.
Yeah, it was all phony. Anyway, last question I'm gonna ask you as you show the last image is how many Goldies wear glasses now?
Whoa!
And the answer is all of them.
All of them.
What
That's
a
right.
lucky young child she is. Pete Goldie, everybody, give it up for him.
Science report.
Yay, I guess.
Oh, it's all about silence tonight here at the Ask Dr. Hell show. And what's the theme? What's the theme?
Obviously.
Obviously. Pete Goldie, everybody, burning off his own excess gas. We'll see you in a month, Pete. Thanks. Like that? Listen.